Hello, everyone. It's time for another Wednesday with Wendy, where we go over some topics related to taxes and bookkeeping, all for the non-accountant. Today, we're going to talk about different types of tax preparers. Did you know that you don't have to be a CPA to prepare someone else's tax return? Fun fact, we'll talk about that in a minute. If this is your first time ever tuning in, my name is Wendy Kane. I'm the owner of Kane Accounting and Financial Coaching. I do bookkeeping and payroll for independent contractors and small businesses so that you can have peace of mind at tax time and throughout the rest of the year. Okay, who can prepare your tax return besides yourself? We all know you could do it on your own, but we also know many of you don't want to. So, if you want somebody else to prepare your tax return, who do you hire? Who do you pay? The obvious first choice would be a CPA, a certified public accountant. That is who most people think of when they think of tax returns. Yeah, go find a CPA, call my CPA, got to have a CPA do this. And that is a good choice. They are trained, licensed. We have continuing education we do every year, many hours of it on tax. And they are a great first choice to have someone prepare your tax return. However, did you know you don't have to be a CPA to prepare a tax return for another person and get paid for it? There's no law that says you have to be a CPA. So, who are these other people who prepare tax returns and how do I find them? Okay, the first group we're going to talk about are called enrolled agents. They're abbreviated EAs for short. These are professionals who are licensed by the IRS to prepare tax returns. That's all they're licensed to do. They're not CPAs. They can't do auditing. They don't generally do bookkeeping. Some firms do. Um, they don't do as much as CPAs do, and their license strictly applies to tax returns. It doesn't apply to financial reporting and auditing and all that other stuff. They also have to do continuing education every year, only on taxes because that's what they do. And they're licensed to, I don't know, CPAs are licensed to practice before the IRS to like represent you. And now I am blanking on whether enrolled agents can do that or not. They might, but don't quote me on that. I did not look that up beforehand. And as everything happens, my brain just squirreled off onto a tangent and now I'm stuck not knowing. So Google that if you're interested. Hopefully you don't have, hopefully you don't need someone to represent you before the IRS. I hope you're not to that point yet. All right. So they're enrolled agents and they do tax returns. There are just like CPAs, there's some that do an awesome job and there's some that don't do that great a job. It's really up to you to do your due diligence and find one that you relate to and can work well with. Okay, the second group of people who can prepare your tax return, I the only way I know to refer to them is as unlicensed preparers. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. What I mean is they aren't CPAs, they don't have the certified public accountant license, and they also are not enrolled agents. They don't have that license either. But they do prepare tax returns for money. Some examples of these would be like H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, Liberty Tax. There's also just some tax preparation firms around where the main person preparing the return just doesn't have those professional licenses, but they still have knowledge and know how to prepare a tax return. Um, these people are good if your situation is not overwhelmingly complex. If it is overwhelmingly complex, you should find a CPA for sure. But if you've got, it's kind of a middle ground where it's a little too difficult for you to figure out on your own, but it's not difficult enough that you really need to call in the big guns. So you can go to one of these places. You have to be careful because again, they're not licensed and their training is a little less than other places like CPAs and enrolled agents have continuing education requirements. These places they will train their people. They have to sit through some classes and they have to take a test. The thing is, it's only a few weeks long. And so it's not, the education on tax returns is not as robust and extensive as it is for enrolled agents or CPAs. So, but they do serve a good purpose. Everyone has to file a tax return, and not all CPA firms can take everybody. Many of them this past tax season were full. I ended up having to refer my clients to other places because my favorite CPA firms were they flat out said, "Look, we're not taking any more clients. We're sorry, we are full." So these are good options if you want to check them out, try it and see. They'll do an okay job. They might do a great job. They also might not do a great job, but that's the case with anybody. I know some CPAs and EAs that I wouldn't recommend either, but y'all didn't hear me say that. Okay, one last group I want to talk about, but not recommend. These are called ghost preparers. And these are some people to watch out for. If somebody offers to prepare your tax return for you, but then they don't want to sign it, they make you sign it, be very, very careful. There is a good chance that what they have put on that tax return is fraudulent. If they promise you a huge refund, promise to get on tax credits, however they do it, if they promise you a lot of money back, but then they're not willing to put their name on the line, I would not file that return. I would run and I would find somebody who is more reputable to do your taxes. You have to be careful because people will do that, and generally what they're doing is making up information that is going to eventually get you in trouble because you signed it and not them. And by the time the IRS catches up and figures out this was fraud, they're long gone, along with the money you paid them, and then you have a huge tax problem on your hand. So if somebody offers to prepare a tax return and then wants you to sign it, don't. Run away, find somebody else, and report them to the Better Business Bureau or somebody. Okay, those are a quick kind of two different types of tax preparers you can get. If you can't find a CPA or they're all full, you can look for an enrolled agent, and you can also look for the other just tax preparation firms. Like I said, I call them unlicensed, but I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just unlicensed because they're not CPAs and they're not EAs, but they do taxes. Many of them are around all year long, and they have staff and they have a building, and you can go and they will put their name on the tax return and everything is good with that. So they are definitely some people worth checking out if you can't find a CPA or don't want to go down that route. Okay, that is all we have for today. Remember, no one is born knowing how to do this, and it is not taught in school. If you are feeling overwhelmed with bookkeeping and taxes and small business ownership, you are not alone. I'm here to guide you and help you. Like this post, follow me on Facebook, find my videos living over on YouTube, go to my website to sign up for my newsletter, and I'll check in with y'all again next week. Have a good day.